Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to LifeHouse. My name's Ryan. Great to see you guys here in the room. Great to see you online as well. Hey, I'm a dad. I have 4 kids, and my oldest, my daughter named Whitney, is a freshman in high school. And I'm really proud of the young woman she's becoming. But this for me and my wife, the first time we've had a kid in high school. And I tell you what, we feel like, what is going on? What is happening? You know, it's just a new world. We need money for everything and rides everywhere and high school sports and academics, and everything's just, amped up a notch. And there's so much changing and growing, and we feel like deer in the headlights as parents a little bit. It's all good stuff. We just feel like deer in the headlights. And listen, if you're here in the room or online, and if you're new to LifeHouse, I'm not new to LifeHouse, but maybe you are. And I know that when I think about what it's like to be a first-time parent of a high schooler, I can relate to maybe how you feel being here at LifeHouse for the first time. Listen, we just want you to enjoy today. We want you to feel welcome here, and we want you to maybe find this to be a place where you can call this home later on. But we're just glad you're here. I tell you the same thing I tell myself as a parent, and that is fine. Everything's gonna be fine. You're gonna survive. I'm just kidding. But we're glad you're here. And hey, one thing, if you are new, you don't have to do this, but after the service, if you're in the room, we have a table in the lobby called the guest services desk. I'll be out there. I'd love to just say hi and meet you. If you want to stop by, and we do have a gift for you as our way of saying thanks for joining us. So swing by the lobby on your way out today. If you're not brand new, but you're relatively new to LifeHouse, you may know that serving is a big deal around here. We have hundreds of people who serve in all kinds of different environments, and you may wonder where a place might be for you to serve. Well, we have this thing called Backstage Pass, and Backstage Pass is a 1-hour behind-the-scenes tour of all of our serving environments, and that is happening next Sunday during second service. And so I want to invite you to that. If you've ever thought about serving or wondered what that might be like, there's no pressure at all, but just show up and learn more about that. And then for everybody, yesterday was a really exciting day. We had what we call For the Students. If you've been around here, you know what that is. But For the Students was a shopping experience. We took a bunch of middle school kids to get things they needed, and next week, next Sunday, we get to celebrate all the great things that you guys helped do through your giving and through your serving this year during Be Rich. We're calling it our Be Rich Celebration Sunday next Sunday during both services, so you definitely want to be here to hear how all this went down. But for today, we have what we hope is a really helpful service. We'll be here about an hour or so. The band's got a few songs, and our lead pastor, Matt Brown, is here today. He's going to kick off a brand new series for us. But my hope is that wherever you're at in your faith, that today's a day where you can take a step forward. If you're in the room, I want to invite you to stand, and Kayla's going to lead us in this first song together.
Is in your hands. This whole world may hold me down. no longer I who live, but Christ who lives within me. Christ who lives within me. From beginning to the end, you deserve the glory. You deserve the glory. It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives within me. Christ who lives within me. From beginning to the end, you deserve the glory. You deserve the glory. You are God. You're the great I am. Breath of life, I breathe you in. Even in the fire, I'm alive in you. You are strong in my brokenness, sovereign over every step. Even in the fire, I'm alive. You are God. You're the great I am. Breath of life, I breathe you in. Even in the fire, I'm alive in you. You are strong in my brokenness, sovereign over every step. Even in the fire, I'm alive. I'm alive in you. Even in the fire, I'm alive in you. You make me alive. I'm alive in
You don't just tolerate us, you don't have somewhere to go. We're not your trophy children, you abandon when we roam. Your mercy's not a favor, and your presence isn't rushed. Oh no, our God is love. The cross was not a vehicle for you to finally care. When we look upon your character, your grace was always there. Acceptance not withheld from us, no need to measure up. Oh no, our God is love. His arms are open for all to gather. Here the cross has spoken. There's nothing left to fear. Once and for all he showed how far his grace would go for us. Our God is love. Yes, he is, he is. How vast the Father's heart for us, we'll never reach the end. I thought for sure I found it, but he proved me wrong again. It's so much higher, so much wider, so much deeper than we know. Our God is love. His arms are open for all to gather. Here the cross has spoken. There's nothing left to fear. No.
It's overflowing. It's overflowing. Our God is love. His arms are open for all to gather. Hear the cross has spoken. There's nothing left to fear. Once and for all, He showed how far His grace would go for us. Our God is love, overcoming every grave, overwhelming all our shame. It's overflowing, it's overflowing. Our God is love, it's overcoming every grave, overwhelming all our shame. It's overflowing, it's overflowing. Our God is love. It's overflowing, it's overflowing. Our God is love. It's overflowing, it's overflowing. Our God is love. Yeah.
Thank you guys for singing with us. You can go ahead and take your seats. Man, God is love. And when we experience God's love in our life, it makes us act. We take action. And last week in second service, my buddy Owen over here took the step to get baptized because of the love of God. And that just means he went public with his faith in Jesus, got dunked in that tank over there. And we want you to hear his story and to watch his baptism. So check out Owen's story and his baptism. We'll celebrate together.
My name is Owen, and believe it or not, I did not at first want to go to church. It took a lot of time before, when I was a child, when I actually decided to let Jesus in, when I decided to start going to church. And it was all thanks to my mom, my grandma, and my aunt, who actually brought me to church. One time when I really knew that Jesus was with me was I was at my grandma's house and I was praying for about 10 to 15 minutes, and around that point I felt my back just suddenly be pushed down. My body did not refuse. I just knew without a doubt that Jesus was pushing my back down and telling me to relax. Jesus has always been in my life, and let me tell you, it is such a great time to be here and be able to do this. I'd like to thank Jesus, my mom, my family, and all of the volunteers, and just everybody here at the church. Hi, my name is Owen, and with my body, mind, and soul, I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
Well, Owen, I am so honored to be here with you today. You and I got the chance to meet just a few years ago when you were a high school student, and I got to watch you at camps and retreats and on Wednesday nights at Inside Out wrestle with your faith and ask questions and dig deeper with your small group and your leader, Sean. And I just could not be more proud of the young man you've become. And today, because of your declaration of faith, it's my honor and privilege to baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Owen, first of all, it's very rare that I'm standing next to somebody on stage that's as tall as me. So this is, I'm very intimidated, to be honest with you. No, I'm kidding. Dude, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for taking this step. And when when we cheer and celebrate, we are celebrating, we're cheering for Jesus and we're cheering for you. We're cheering for you because of your courage and for him because of what he's done in your life. And so thank you so much for going public with your faith and letting us hear your story and see how much you've grown over the years. We love you, buddy. Let's give him one more round of applause, can we? Yeah, that's a really big deal that Owen took that step of faith to get baptized. And if you've been around faith church for a while, we know that faith is a series of steps, and baptism's a big step, right? But a step could be something as simple as just showing up. What you all are doing today is a step. That's how Owen started. He started by just showing up. But anybody who's grown in their faith around here for any period of time has always started to take additional steps beyond just showing up. Showing up's great. It's a great step. But further steps help you and me grow further in our faith. And what you don't know, what Owen didn't share in his story, is that his mom, Sarah, actually is the one who brought him to church originally. This is probably, 5-6 years ago. And Sarah started part of her journey, her own faith journey, by being a part of a group here at LifeHouse called Starting Point. And I had the privilege of being in that group with her and help facilitate that discussion. And Starting Point is a 4-week group or a 4-week environment for anybody to explore faith and to ask questions. And she did that group, and that was instrumental in getting her plugged in and growing in her faith around here. But Starting Point is a fantastic environment. If you have questions, it's for anybody, but particularly those of you who may be returning to faith, or you just may be exploring faith, or perhaps you're just new to faith. Starting Point is excellent for those types of situations. And we're launching a brand new Starting Point group in 2 weeks on November 23rd. And it will run 4 weeks every Sunday for 1 hour here at LifeHouse. A chance for you to ask questions and explore your faith. Cost is just $13. It covers the cost of the book, but you'll get more out of that. I promise you that. But you can sign up using our LifeHouse app. Scan the QR code if you're here in the room on the seat back in front of you, or go to our website. Those are the best ways to sign up. But again, because both me and my wife have had the privilege of walking through Starting Point with a number of different people, I can tell you from experience just how good it is. If you've never done a group, this is a great first step. I've heard the things that people say out of Starting Point, how good it was for them, and that is something that we don't and I don't want from you. It's something that I would want for every single person in this room. I want that for you. So consider Starting Point. That launches in 2 weeks. But for today, we're going to get rolling with the rest of our service. I'm going to invite our lead pastor, Matt Brown, out, who's going to start a brand new series for us called The Power of a Made-Up Story.
There once was a boy who never truly felt like he belonged. He was mistreated and lived in a cupboard under the stairs, until one day, a large stranger told him he was a wizard. And he explained the lightning-shaped scar he got as a baby after narrowly avoiding death.
And as you can see, I am not dead, T'Challa shouted as he approached his estranged cousin, ready to reclaim the throne. Although his adversary would not yield, those loyal to him fought back valiantly, inspired by
1.21 gigawatts of electricity racing through the flux capacitor, giving the DeLorean enough power to make it back to 1985. Marty smiled. He was headed home after what could only be described as...
After what could only be described as some sort of dream, she finally realized she could find everything her heart desired in her own backyard. She clicked her heels together 3 times and said,
"If you build it, they will come, Ray. The one constant through all the years has been baseball. This field, this game, it's part of our past. It reminds us of all that was once good and it could be again." And then Ray looked up and saw the young baseball player waiting on the field was actually his father.
It was actually his father, the villain who had taken his hand with a lightsaber and then tried to woo him with promises of shared dominion over the galaxy, stood before him and revealed his true identity. He stood there stunned as the music swelled to close out the shocking, powerful scene.
Well, my name is Matt Brown, and that might be the best title pack we've ever shown in this church. My gosh, I was in my entire childhood and adulthood all meshed into one. We're so glad you're here. We're starting this brand new series today. It's called The Power of a Made-Up Story, which you may be surprised that you're coming to church to hear a made-up story, but the truth is we make up stories all the time to use them as teaching points to our kids, to our athletic teams, even to our office space. We use stories to tell values and truth. And here's a cool thing. Jesus did the very same thing. He would do make-up stories called parables. The Hebrew word for parable, and that Jesus was a Hebrew, he was an Israelite, was this word Haggadah, which makes me think of ice cream, which makes me want to tell stories about peanut butter chip ice cream. But this is a Hebrew word that simply means storytelling with a point. Now, in the Hebrew culture and the Israelite culture, this was done so often by moms and dads to their children. They tell made-up stories so their kids would understand something. But more specifically, this was done by rabbis. And rabbis, you may know this if you don't, rabbis were teachers in the Hebrew faith, in the Israelite faith, where they would have a following of students and they would stop often and tell them stories. And when a rabbi, thousands of years ago, would tell a story, it was often exaggerated, it was full of hyperbole, and it was disturbing because a rabbi knew if I can disturb you, if I can stir your brain and heart and your emotions up, you'll start to think about things differently or maybe take a look at something in a different light from a different perspective. And today I want to talk about, when it comes to these made-up stories we call parables in the Gospels, the idea of characterization. It's really important. And today when you talk about characterization, we actually talk about character, or a character or two in a story. Now, when Jesus told these made-up stories to talk about what the kingdom of God was like, he would often tell stories that include people that you could identify with. Like he tells a story about a father whose son kind of went off the rails. He tells stories to his people, his crowd, about shepherds, because they all understood shepherds. If you live in this town, maybe he would tell you a story about the Ohio State Buckeyes and why they look invincible right now. So he might tell you that story along the way. And there's always at least two characters in Jesus' parables. One was a man or a woman, and the other was a person that represented God. So we're gonna look at a story that Jesus told that he made up, and one person represents God, and one person in this story represents you. And anytime in the parables of Jesus that you see a king that comes into the picture, the king always represents God. Every time. So in this story we're going to look at, there's a king and there's two servants. And throughout this entire story, I want you, if you're willing to do this, if you're not, that's fine. But I would love for you to consider, which servant am I in this story? Because all of us are one or the other in this story. Matthew records this story. He was there when Jesus told it. This is how it starts. Peter came to him and asked, Lord, how often should I, and here's the crux of where we're going today, forgive someone who sins against me? And then he throws out a number 7 times. Now, obviously, someone had hurt Peter, his feelings, or taken something from him, or did something that hurt his family, whatever it is. Peter's interested. How often do I need to forgive them? Or how many times do I need to forgive them? And he throws out this random number, 7? Because that feels pretty good. That feels like a good number. And Jesus, he pushes back hard. He says, no, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. And I'm guessing that Peter thought, Jesus, that's a lot. 70 times 7, I can't even do the math fast enough to figure out what that is. And it's so interesting because Jesus pulls this phrase at the very beginning of the ancient Hebrew scriptures. It's actually in Genesis chapter 4 when it involves Cain and Abel and their sons and revenge. And 70 times 7, and it's a number that Israelites used as a number that was infinite. There's not like an answer to this question. You could do the math with your iPhone calculator and figure it out, but the implication was there's no finish line when it comes to forgiveness. Peter, I want you to forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive until your life on this planet is over. And maybe Peter thought what some of you were thinking, what? Doesn't that feel naive? Doesn't that feel a little weak? Am I supposed to be a stepping mat for everyone in my life? And then Jesus, with I think, a big smile and a full warm heart, he tells this made up story we call a parable. Jesus said, therefore, the kingdom of heaven, he's about to tell us what the kingdom of heaven looks like, can be compared to a king, and remember, kings always represent God in Jesus' parables, who decided to bring his accounts up to date with servants who had borrowed money from him. Jesus is talking about a terrifying day where a king that had all the power and all the control would say to his servants, everybody come on in, we're calling in your accounts, and whatever you owe me, it's time for you to pay, and you need to pay right now. The king has all the power and all the authority and all the control. Jesus goes on. In the process of this, one of his debtors was brought in who owed him, I'm going to get this Hebrew word wrong, Marion Talaton. That's how you say that, I think, in Hebrew, Greek, in the ancient language. And what this simply means is 10,000 talents. Now, in your translation, it might say 10,000 bags of gold, but it's literally 10,000 talents. This is how much this servant owed. Just get ahead of the story for a minute. We'll get here in a second. It's a lot of money. I mean, you think you owe a lot of money on your house or your car? This is a lot of money. And in response, Jesus says he couldn't pay. There's no way. So his master ordered that he be sold. This is extreme. He would be sold along with his wife, his children, and everything he owed to pay the debt. He tries to pay, but he's short. He can't even get close. And so the king just says, I'm going to liquidate your entire life. And it's not just your life. It's your wife and your kids and your dog and your sheep. And some of you are like, well, if I had to choose between my kids and my dog, I don't know. It'd be a race, but it'd be one of them, right? And the king's taken everything. Remember, Jesus, he would exaggerate so people would pay attention and struggle with the concept. I'm taking everything from you. Jesus continues, but the man, he fell down before his master and he begged him, please be patient with me and I will pay it all. Please don't sell me or my kids or my family. Remember, this is an illustration of what God is like. And then Jesus leans in. He said, then his master was filled with blank for him. And here's the question I want to ask you. And we work on this all the time around here. If the master, if the king is really God, what do you put in this blank? And you may know the right answer on paper, but what do you put in your heart when you think about God and how he feels about you, how he feels about your sin, how he feels about canceling your debt, you having to work and owe him back? What do you put in this blank? Well, let me tell you what Jesus said about his heavenly Father, that his master was filled with compassion for him, and he released him. And he forgave his debt. Jesus is trying to get across this point with this made-up story that your heavenly Father has unlimited compassion for you. And he forgives him because he knows that this guy cannot pay back the debt. Somehow he's accrued so much money, he cannot pay it back. And the posture of the servant in the moment is gratefulness. I'm gonna fall on my knees. I'm gonna be so thankful for what you have done for me, O King and Master. But then Jesus gives us a picture, and this is gonna be offensive to you because it's offensive to me. He gives us a picture of ourselves, especially if you're a Jesus follower who's been forgiven of much. Because when this first servant that just got all this debt forgiven, Jesus says, when the man left the king, he went to a fellow servant who owed him hecton denarii. In the original translation, it's 100 denarii, which is 100 silver coins. And he's like, hey, you owe me money. This is the guy that just got his debt forgiven. He goes to the guy that's under him. You owe me money. And he didn't just say it. Look what Jesus says. He grabbed him by the throat and demanded instant payment. There is no mercy and there is no grace. And it gets real familiar. This second servant says the same thing that the first servant said. He said his fellow servant fell down before him and he begged him for a little more time. Be patient with me and I will pay it. He pleaded, and surely the first servant that was forgiven his debt would give his servant mercy. Jesus is telling the story. But his creditor wouldn't wait. He He had the man arrested and put into prison until the debt could be paid in full. And you know this, if you're in prison, you can't pay the debt because you cannot work to get money to pay off the debt. Now, quick review, that's going to involve math. I am the worst person in this place when it comes to math, just so you know, so there's a good chance I'm going to mess this up. So if you're a math person, don't judge me on this. But we have two servants. We have the first servant and the second servant. The first servant owed 10,000 talents. We established this. The second servant owed 100 denarii. Right? So when it comes to 10,000 talents, one talent equaled 6,000 days of work. One talent. And he owed 10,000 talents. Jesus is exaggerating. The second servant owed a denarii or 100 denarii, and one denarii was 1 day's wage. The first servant owes 60 million days of wages. It's an unprecedented amount of money, to which you should be asking, who in the world lent this idiot all this money? I don't know. Jesus is making up the story, right? So if you do the math on this, let's just do the 100 days wages too. If you do the math on this, when you come with a day's wage in modern times, in the federal government law, $7.25 is the minimum wage, which is not a ton of money, but we're going to use the lowest amount that people make in our world. So that is $7.25, 8 hours a day, which means that's 58 dollars a day. So just think about this. In this equation, 100 days' wages is $5,800. That's how much the second servant owed. The first servant owed $3.48 billion. Point being, you can't pay that back. You can pay this one back, you can't pay this one back. Now, here's an important part of the story that guys like me, when we talk about this, overlook. Both these numbers are a number. $5,800 is a number. So forgiving the first or the second number is still an act of grace, but the first number is ridiculous. And again, who would owe this idiot $3.48 billion? Do you remember what the first servant said when his master called on his $3.48 billion? Just go back to it real quick. The first servant said, "Please be patient with me, and I will pay it all." And the king didn't ask him to repay it. The king, who represents God, said, "No, I'm going to just forgive your debt. I'm going to cancel it." And the only person that can cancel a debt like that is the king. The second servant, I want to make sure I say this. Thank you guys in the back. This debt for the first servant was unpayable, is irreconcilable. There's no way you can pull this off. What's interesting in this moment is the first servant, after he's forgiven, has a change of authority structure, because in the first moment, he's owing the king something. He is the servant. He is the second in command. He's forgiven, and then he goes to his servant. Now, he has all the power and authority. Have you ever been in a place where, like, you're under someone and one day you wake up and you're the one in charge? When my kids were little, and I'm going to probably get a little bit of hate email for this, we would spank them once in a while. I know, it's shocking, right? When we would spank our kids, and my son and daughter might be in the service today, so we'll see how this turns out. They can correct me. When we would spank them, we had this spatula we would use. I know I was a terrible parent. Both my kids turned out really well, and I paid for all their counseling. Just so you know, it's an even playing field. And the reason we did that is I never wanted them to be afraid of my hands. So if there wasn't a spatula in my hand, they weren't getting spanked. It was as simple as that. And we just used just enough to make it sting a little bit. But it was not a fun process for them, and it was not a fun process for me or my wife. But we were the ones in authority. So when our kids were disobedient, and we wanted to teach them, your best life is to be obedient in our family and in the kingdom of God. It's where life gets better. They would have a little bit of spatula time, if you will. So one day, after growing up in our household with this kind of rule, and they knew what the spatula was, when it came out, it got real serious. My boys, I was supposed Josh was about 8 and Jake was about 10. We were in the bedroom just throwing down wrestling. We loved to wrestle in our house, and I would bounce my boys off the wall, and my daughter once in a while, but I'd bounce them off the wall and on the bed and on the floor, and we're just going at it. And I'm holding Jake down, tickling him, our older son, and Josh, who was always full of mischief, but my kind kid. Josh, who was always had a plan and a little sneaky, but my sensitive kid. It dawns on him that spatula's in the top drawer of Dad's dresser, and he sneaks up and he gets that dresser, or that spatula. It's about this long, big rubber head on it, and he gets on the bed. I'm on the floor tickling Jake. Josh jumps off. Both hands in the air, knee up like a karate kid, whatever. And he lands that spatula on my backside as hard as he possibly can, laughing all the way down. And I did everything I could not to cry like a baby when he did it. Now, he hit me way harder than I ever thought about hitting him, but he thought, revenge is mine, forget forgiveness, all that. Because in this moment, for the first time, he had the power. And he used it, and that's okay. It's been a fun family story over the years. But in this story Jesus is telling, the first servant all of a sudden becomes the one with the spatula and the authority and the power. Even though he's been forgiven, he's got the authority and the power. And Jesus, he reminds us, his fellow servant fell down before him and begged for a little more time. You got the spatula, just give me a little more time. Be patient with me and I will pay it. He pleaded and he refuses. And he puts the guy in prison. I got the spatula, I've been shown mercy, I don't have to give you anything because I am in control. Go to prison, take your punishment. Meanwhile, the guy holding the spatula, the first servant, he has an irreconcilable debt. Now all this is in light of a question that Peter asked. All this story and minutia. Remember what Peter asked in the beginning, Lord? How often should I forgive someone who sins against me? 7 times? Is that enough? And 7 feels like a super generous number. Rabbis in Peter's day, they would often say you should forgive someone 3 times, and once you forgive them 3 times, you're good to do whatever you want, just punish away. And so I'm guessing Peter thought, hey, I'll go with 7 because that's more generous. And I know Jesus is bringing this new kingdom. And so I'm going to go with 7. And Peter's asking, so how many times, Jesus? 7? You know what Peter wants to know? He wants to know what you want to know. And he wants to know what I want to know. When can I be unforgiving? When can I be in a righteous place and not forgive people? When can I still be religious and not forgive people? And the really challenging question is, when can I be like Jesus and not forgive people? And Jesus is brilliant. And remember, Peter's been offended, and maybe something really bad's happened to Peter. Maybe someone hurt his family. Maybe someone stole from him. And at what point, Peter, do you not have to give grace to someone? And this is such an important question because Jesus is about to help Peter understand, hey, Peter, do you know how much grace you've been given and you're about to be given by me in just a little while? Because our capacity to forgive flows from what we've been forgiven of. You see, when you think about forgiveness and I think about forgiveness, what we draw from is the reservoir of what debts have been canceled in our lives. And Jesus, he's just trying to make this point. This is Peter's point. He's like, okay, so here's the thing, Jesus, and you may not understand this, so let me enlighten you. Someone did this to me. I just want you to know, somebody took something from me, and I'm holding that debt against them. Someone said something. Somebody didn't show up in my life, and maybe it wasn't just for an event, it was a season of my life, and it hurts, and I feel dinged. Jesus, I got about 7 in there. Is that enough? See, Jesus is so brilliant. He created everything, he knows everything, he redeems everything, he's a brilliant teacher. And he goes, Peter, I get it, and this is real. And for some of you you're gonna start pushing back as I talk on this next part, you're gonna be like, hey, Matt, you don't understand, I don't understand. Just so you know, I don't understand. But Jesus understands. What Jesus starts to lean in with Peter, and for you and I, if you're willing to listen, I'm willing to listen, is, Peter, I get it, that's significant. I'm not gonna deny that's significant. But see, Pete, you're talking about that. I'm talking about this. This is what we owe God. Oh yeah, let me get some more out. I ran out of beads, so I had to go with ping pong balls. So let me get some more out. This is what you owe God for what you should have done, but you didn't do. What you shouldn't have done, but you did, all the stuff, and we could all go through this stuff. And Peter, it's not 3 jars. I mean, there's not enough tables and not enough jars in this church to go through that. And what's important for all of us to remember is Jesus didn't say, Peter, these, they matter. Their wounds, their pain, we're not making light of this. But when it comes to what God has forgiven you of, it's a lot. The question for us all is in the story, what servant are you? What servant am I? Because we think we're the servant that's the $5,800 servant. This is, for me as a pastor, as someone's done what I've done for a long time, for myself, but also for you guys, this has been one of the hardest things for me to convey so it makes sense, because I think we think, yeah, I'm the $5,800 servant. I don't have a lot to forgive. And Peter and Jesus and Paul and everyone else that understood this, and I'm trying to understand this, said, no, nobody's this. And if you're not a follower of Jesus, if you're not a Christian, you don't have to believe this. You just don't. I just hope maybe you will. If you are a Jesus follower, we don't believe this is what we're forgiven for. We are convinced this is what we're forgiven for. And it didn't cost us a payment. It didn't cost us some time in jail. It cost our King his life on a cross. With that said, this is really hard. Forgiveness is really hard. And the reason forgiveness is so hard is because to forgive someone, you have to absorb the cost. If you owe me something, whether it's time, emotional pay, but whatever it is, and you decide to forgive me, you've got to absorb that. You just got to say, I'm going to take that on my shoulders, and it's not easy, and it's not simple. And sometimes in church, people like me go, just forgive, and we have no idea the trauma you went through, the pain you went through, the abuse you went through, the betrayal, and yet somehow it's still the best path forward. If I'm going to forgive you, I've got to cancel what you did, and I got to absorb the pain. You see, our capacity, we already said, our capacity to forgive flows from what we've been forgiven. Will you forgive just as you have been forgiven? And I was thinking, because I don't want to make this high in the pie sky stuff. I know for some of you that have walked through infidelity in a relationship, in a marriage, that's something you just don't brush off and go, whoo, I'm forgiven today. So I want to acknowledge that. Abandonment issues, your dad wasn't around, someone stole a job or a career from you, someone said something and they've kept saying and it goes on and on. You feel that in your heart, you're offended, you should be offended. That is a real thing. And it's okay not to be there today, but your Heavenly Father's inviting you to a life that's better. In fact, it's best, it's actual life. And if you're here and you're not ready to quite go there today, but you're willing to think about it, I need you to know 2 things. I'm really proud of you for trying. And I'm really proud of you for seeing clearly in a time where it could be really hard to see clearly. And I want you to know this. If you just totally decide, no, I'm not doing that, it was my mom, it was my ex-husband, it was whatever the thing is. And your story might be even more severe than we even want to talk about today. It might be that ugly and that dark. I just want you to know, when you hold back forgiveness, it leads to bitterness every time. And we fall into this mode of thinking that I'm going to forgive them for their sake, and that's just not true. You can forgive someone and never tell them and never inform them. In fact, I would encourage you, if you forgive someone, don't tell them you've forgiven them unless they've asked you for forgiveness. A couple times over the years, this is kind of a weird pastor thing, and maybe this has happened to you. People have come up to me and have gone, Matt, hand over their heart. I have prayed on this for a year, and I forgive you. And I'm like, what the frick did I do to you? I don't even know what we're talking about. It's the oddest thing. And then they won't tell me, or it's so weird. If you forgive someone, you don't need to tell them at all. It's just better that way, but you've forgiven them in your heart because it's not about them. It's about you. This is for you. This is so you don't have to live with the toxicity of bitterness in your life. The Apostle Paul, later on after Jesus, would say this, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. I mean, Paul's like, your king died on the cross so you would be free. And if you hold bitterness and resentment for the rest of your life and you never start to offer it back to Jesus, you're gonna be a slave to bitterness. And you know people that are slaves to bitterness. It oozes out of them. And here's the thing, if you're a slave to bitterness, other people can see it in you. You may not be able to see it in yourself. And Paul's pleading with Christians, you have been set free from unforgiveness of your sin. Let other people be set free so you do not have to carry it around. And Paul writes this in Colossians. He says, make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must, and this is a must thing, forgive others. And when he uses the word fault here, forgive others' faults, just so you know, that's intentional. That's when people have done something that's intentional and possibly just evil and they meant to do it. It's not mistakes or I forgot to. I had a plan and I carried it out. And Paul says, yeah, I want you to forgive people for that. Now, again, we go back to this idea of, all right, this thing, okay, this thing, maybe. But Matt, it wasn't one person. It was a bunch of people, or maybe it was the same person over and over and over, and you want me to forgive them of it all. That is ridiculous. And Paul goes, I know. There's another ridiculous thing that happened in our world, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. But Paul's trying to help us understand that accepting forgiveness from Jesus sets you free. Extending forgiveness keeps you free. When we put our faith in Jesus, we are free. As we extend forgiveness, we stay free. We're not full of bitterness, and joy takes over, and joy pushes bitterness out, and we get to go to bed at night with peace in our soul, and we don't have those conversations of what we would say to them if we ever get a chance to say to them again, and we're so clear and it's so precise, and I would just zinger them to death. No, I want you to be free of all of that, and what I want you to have is a whole lot less bitterness. I want you to have a whole lot more gratitude. And here's the hard truth about this. Bitterness and gratitude cannot exist in the same world. You cannot be bitter and grateful at the same time. And you know people, I know people. When I see their gratefulness, I'm inspired. I wish I was them. I want to be a grateful human being. Bitter people, they just want to repay and get back and get at. And grateful people, they understand something about their own soul. Here's the thing. When we think about all this, and I don't know what context you process this all through, we think in these terms. Just to do it one more time. We think, all right, Matt, this is what you're asking. No, this is really what Jesus is asking. If I'm gonna do this, I gotta let the thing my dad did go. And I gotta let the thing my boss did, and my ex-husband. And when I get through my list, it does seem like a lot, doesn't it? And I get that. I feel the same thing. Jesus' whole point is, Peter, in a very short time, I'm gonna go to the cross for you. And I don't know if you understand this, Peter, but my jar against you is empty. I'm a perfect heavenly Father and His Son and His Spirit. And there's nothing that I owe you. I'm perfect. But there's a whole lot you owe me. When I crawl up on that cross, and I die, and then I rise for the forgiveness of the sins of the world. If you would be willing, after my resurrection, to put your full faith and trust in me, here's what I want to do for you, Peter. And remember, Peter sinned against Jesus over and over and over. He's one of the famous sinners against Jesus, which means you're in that category, and so am I. This is what the cross will do for you, Peter. It will empty everything that you owe me. And you don't owe me one jar, Peter, Matt, Mike, Ann. And you don't owe me 2 jars, Peter. You owe me a bazillion jars, maybe 3.84 billion jars. And I'm willing to empty it all. It is the work of the cross. It is not the work of being a good person or showing up and being a good church person or loving your kids, although you should do all those things. It is the work of the cross that was put on one man, God's shoulders. His name was Jesus. And when we put it on his shoulders, he emptied our jars. Hard part about this, if you're struggling with this idea, we are all the first servant. Nobody in this place, and this may offend you, and if you don't believe in Jesus, you can just struggle with this, think about this. But if you're a follower of Jesus, this is what we believe as our theology and orthodoxy. We are all the first servant. We're not the $5,800 servant. We're the $3.84 billion servant. And that's hard to accept. But God is far out and stay here with us in just the next few moments and we'll be done. If you're here and you're not a follower of Jesus, the invitation is simply this. You have the opportunity and you're invited to be completely forgiven of it all. I mean, completely, that someday